How did you become the cheap holiday expert?
I use such a sado. My first holiday was to Sweden, staying in a hostel.
The worst thing you've seen on a flight?
Someone changed their baby's diaper.
We have done that.
Have you? No!
What was the craziest thing you did to get the budget as low?
We were literally in somebody's home. It smelled so badly of sewage. I don't agree when people say buy cheap, buy twice.
10 holidays at 1,700, that's too far.
They were some of the best holidays I've been on. This is the thing, right, with cheap. There's always a limit. When there's demand for anything, the price goes up.
Is there any other nations that you feel have worse tourists than us?
We're always there with the Germans. It's all about how you do your trip rather than how expensive a certain place is.
Hello and welcome to the Behind the Screens podcast with me, Curtis.
And me, James. And we're here with Chelsea Dickenson, the cheap holiday expert. Great to have you on the show. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
So it's Friday when we're filming this podcast.
Yes.
Me and Curtis have got £200 the budget.
Okay.
It's paid next week.
And we want to go away for the weekend, a little night trip. Where are we going to go?
Well, first of all, you're not booking it this last minute, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that really changes things because lots of people think last minute is like the cheapest time, cheapest way to get a holiday abroad. But often, and this is like the one thing that seems to be all the reports that look into when the best time is to book a flight, they all kind of agree that you should not be leaving it super last minute.
Right.
Now,
I'm already learning.
the good news is there are still some bargains to be had. It just means you don't really have any choice.
Okay.
You've got to go where the bargains are. So if you were thinking, oh, I fancy a bit of Spain, yeah, get that out of your head. You have very few choices here. You've just got to go where the money is low, right?
Okay.
Eastern Europe, 100%.
Yeah, maybe. But here's the thing. Well, you've got a laptop in front of you now. Do you want to see where you could possibly go?
Get the.
So what do you need me to do?
Okay, let's go on Skyscanner.
Okay, I like this.
There's lots of different, search engines you can use. I like to use Skyscanner.
This one.
Well, I like to use Skyscanner and Google Flights are normally my first port of call. But for what we're after, this is really good. So London, we're flying from.
Yep. I assume
We're
it's
going to, you're going to go everywhere.
Oh, I like this.
I didn't know you
That's
could do
So
that.
on Skyscanner, you do not have to say your destination. And now put in the date of today. I guess you want to come back maybe on Sunday, a little weekend jaunt, right?
I don't want to use my annual leave up just yet.
Exactly. And hit search. And look, we are going to see what comes up. And look, it's almost proved the point for me. These are more expensive than what you were expecting, right?
How much is it? I can't read.
The cheapest flights that are coming up are to the UK, so that's domestic flight,
London to London.
£124. If you click on that, I'm really interested to see what you reckon of Glasgow, Inverness.
Inverness.
Do you know what?
I'd
that's
take that.
Quite fun, actually.
I've only been to Edinburgh for Scotland, so
Yeah, so you could this weekend fly to Inverness, but
Looks more like a walk-in holiday.
yes.
that'd be quite nice, you and I. Having a, do you not fancy a little walk around the mountains? No, not yet.
You've got the classic case here, though. You've gone for I say a cheap flight, the cheapest flight. But people get so stuck up on that cheap flight and they forget about the fact that that's a one-off cost. And actually, you're much better thinking about where is my hotel going to be cheaper, my food going to be cheaper, and the pints
Oh, yeah.
cheaper, right? And you kind of mentioned it for Eastern Europe is great for ticking off all those things. So sometimes it's worth paying a little bit more on your flight because you'll save more money overall by going to the places that are cheaper.
So where else have we got, Curtis?
Well, I was going to say, I've definitely been burned by that in the last year because the Wizz Air did, I think it was like $12.99 flights to Austria. I spent an obscene amount of money in Austria just on a weekend. Lovely trip.
Yeah.
It was great in Salzburg, but they've hooked me. How can they do that? How can they run flights at $13.99?
Well, not every single seat on that plane is £12.99. So you've been the lucky one of scoring that cheap seat. And I'm obsessed with this idea of finding out how much every person on a plane has paid for their seat because it will vary so much.
So when you're sat on the flight, you eyeing up people that go, like, let's go 20 quid to...
Open your email, show me how much you paid. But yeah, essentially, the way that pricing works on these planes is that they have tiers of pricing. So you will have, maybe they had 10 seats available for £12.99. And then once they're sold out, it will bump up, which is one of the big reasons why people go, I always book in incognito or private browsing mode because the price always goes up. And like, it's been largely disproved that that has any impact on the price. It will change it, but it doesn't actually mean it will be cheaper every single time. Sometimes it will be more expensive.
Yeah.
But the reason why the price is changing so much is because somebody might have just bought the last price ticket at £12.99 and then it bumps up to £15.99. And similarly, it could be that someone's gone really far through the booking process and then decided to not buy it. And that's when those £12.99 seats are re-released back into the wild. And like, that is the reason why prices fluctuate so much. That and these low-cost airlines, they're always having some kind of sale, but they're knocking off a tenner here or there. So it's the wild, wild west.
Could I theoretically just go on and spend 140 quid on the cheap tickets and just ruin everyone's day? Like, would it let me get 14 tickets at the lowest possible?
No. The moment you put in 8 adults, the price will probably go up. Because it is already thinking ahead. They say they've only got 2 of those cheap fares.
Right.
So if you put in 8, that price would disappear, and it would show you like the average price of all those 8 tickets.
I think about this.
I know.
What the algorithm, mate.
No.
But there is something good if you are ever booking for a group. Quite a few of the airlines do this. EasyJet do it for sure. Ryanair do it. They do group bookings. So you can contact them, say, I want to book for 15 people. What is the price? And that way you are not having to faff about with. I always think this when people are booking stag do's and hen do's, because you'll go, we're going to go to this destination. The flights are only 20 quid. But the problem is once 3 people buy that flight, for everyone else, it's more expensive.
I'm always the last one to do it.
Exactly. And somebody will end up paying £200 for the very same flight. So you can actually contact them. They have a different booking system for groups. And what they will do is they will give you an average price. So everybody will pay the same thing. And another really nice perk of that is some of them will let you not name the passengers until 2 weeks before, which I think is such a perk, right? You always have those dropouts and you can just scoot someone in instead, a replacement. Yeah.
So how did you become the cheap holiday expert?
Where did this such a saddo.
But how did you find out about all of this? Because it's like a whole different world to me.
Yeah, well, I think it's just always been something that I've been really interested in, the price of things. So growing up, we would go on holidays, but not every single year. It was more like when it was cheap enough, we would go on a holiday. I'm one of 4 kids. And it's funny, my mum and dad, when they talk about it now, they say we had a budget of £500, and if we could not go away for a week for 6 people, everything included for £500, we did not go. And therefore, we had the weirdest mix of holidays growing up. Like, all my mates were off to Spain. I was gagging for a Spanish holiday, and we'd be like in Belgium looking at war memorials. Or my first holiday was to Sweden, staying in a hostel with my parents, which is not the normal go-to British holiday.
Character building, though, I'm sure.
Honestly, I think I probably did complain growing up because I was just fascinated by this beach holiday that everyone else went on. And then I ended up going on one, was a bit bored. So fair dues. Like, my parents probably had it sussed. They are more like the holidays I do now. So I think because I was conscious of price and holidays growing up, it was always a thing that's just been like bubbling along in the background. I remember when I was like, we started having a more regular holiday from when I was about 15. We'd go to a caravan in France. And I remember the brochures that you used to have for booking a caravan, and absolutely losing my mind when I realised that the price for that last week in August versus the first week in September, when my parents took us, and we definitely missed school to do it, was like half the price.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at him like, I don't, how is this a thing? How can this,
Yeah. And that's the thing is with schools, they will fine you if you don't pay the kids in. But so many parents will go, well, the fine's 80 quid, but we're saving 800 pieces. And it's very backwards. But
I'll definitely be taking my kids out of school.
Yeah.
100%.
I know. The savings are just too big, aren't they? So I think it's always been something in the back of my mind. But But I actually, if you'd asked me, like, what are you going to be? What you want to do? I wanted to be a writer. I went to university and studied ancient history in the end, and went to join the student newspaper. And I don't know why, I just didn't get the right vibe from them. So I ended up not doing that. I ended up joining the student radio station instead. And that started my career in radio and TV for many, many years. And it's interesting because I didn't travel much. You have to have a bit of money really to do a lot of traveling. So I'd started doing a little city break here or there, and obviously trying to always get it down to a bargain. But it wasn't until I worked in TV as a production coordinator. So I was booking everyone's travel, making sure they got somewhere, researching all that kind of stuff. And I loved it. And
I find that crazy because when it's like work, I'd just be like, I just want to get this done and focus on other stuff.
Well, my production
revealed a passion.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's such a unique thing to love, but I love that you love it. It's great.
But the thing is, I think there's one person in every friendship and family group who's like me, who is the spreadsheet warrior.
I need one of those people. I don't think I've got
you
one.
need to get one in your friendship group, because there will be someone who is the planner, right? And I guess came into its own when I was working and constantly trying to find the best price possible for absolutely everything. And then it kind of crystallized when I moved over to work in radio. I produced a load of documentaries, audio documentaries for the World Service and things like that. And it's really interesting because you've got such tiny budgets for those radio documentaries. It's a one-person thing. So you've got to come up with the idea, pitch it to a network, get the funding, do the research, do the casting, record, edit, publish it, and then market it, right? And I say this now all the time. That is so similar to being a content creator.
Yeah.
So it's mad because I hadn't made that connection. In fact, I hadn't made that connection until the last couple of years. But actually, what I was doing as a documentary producer is so similar to what I ended up doing as a content creator. So it's really interesting, right? And then because I was also having to manage the budget and I was having to travel a lot for these documentaries. So it got to a point where I realized that radio was getting more and more visual. I mean, you get it. We're doing a podcast right now. It's being filmed.
Yeah.
So
it better be, Mark. We've had this before where the podcast has disappeared afterwards.
So I was conscious of that, and that is why I decided to start a YouTube channel, because I wanted to learn how to video edit. And when I was thinking, what do I like? What do I have any passion for? Travel was the one thing. I didn't have loads of money, so I did a budget travel challenge. It was called How Many Holidays? And basically, I found a stat that the average Brit spends $3,400.
You're getting onto all my questions. You really feel.
Sorry, but yeah, it was that stat which I thought was so much money.
Well, it's incredible that Brits spend on average $3,100 per year on holidays, and it's just up in here. So you went on 10 holidays.
Yes.
For £1,700.
Yeah.
Is that everything in budget?
That's flights and accommodation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still pretty impressive.
I mean, it's incredible.
Where's the furthest away you went in those 10 holidays?
Furthest was New York and Miami. So I had set rules because the producer and me was coming out. So I can't just do 10 city breaks.
So when we say New York and Miami, were you already in the US and then you went from New York?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. So of the 10 holidays, 3 of them had to be longer than 5 nights.
Okay.
No, 2 of them had to be longer than 5 nights. So I did, where did I go? I did Paris for a couple of weeks because I ended up house sitting this little cat called Biscott. That was great. And that holiday.
You arrange that because of this, or did that just...
That's what the challenge was really good for, because I think there's a lot of travel hacks out there and loads of advice on how to save money, but actually who's doing it? Because at the end of the day, especially when it comes to holidays, convenience is king for so many people. Obviously, price is another massive driver, but how many times has it been when you've gone, it's only a tenner more, you get a taxi rather than a bus, And often that kind of conundrum wins out. And what the challenge forced me to do is that I couldn't I couldn't opt for convenience. I had to go for the cheaper option. And that meant me Googling how to find free accommodation. And when it came up with this house sitting, I went, sure, I will do that, because that was a really good and easy tick for me to tick off on this holiday challenge. So that's what it was really good at, was making me do stuff that I may have felt a bit nervous about doing beforehand.
What was the craziest thing you did to get the budget as low as you could for that?
Well, hilariously, this was the opposite of getting the budget low. We actually ended up spending more money because of this, but we were in Miami and I had booked, what was it? It was a homestay.
Right.
So we were literally in somebody's home, in a room, but it smelled so badly of sewage. Like, it was really cheap. And even I was like, I have my limits. But then it was so awkward because they were in the house and we didn't want to be like, we're leaving because your house stinks. So we had to we literally crept out the house like we were sneaking out after a night, and had to find ourselves another one, which was not good for the budget.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those, it's that thing, isn't it? I don't agree when people say buy cheap, buy twice. I think there is, a nice area in the middle where you can save money and it'd be a good experience still. But yeah, you can go too far, and I went too far.
Do you think, like, generally the 10 holidays at 1,700, that's too far? Or do you think...
No, I actually think they were some of the best holidays I've been on. They were really great. I mean, one of the holidays was Dubai, which is not cheap. And it would not have been my choice to include it. But one of my rules was I had to stick to my annual leave, and it was a friend's birthday and we'd already said we'd go before I'd even started the challenge. So I was like, okay, we can go, but I have to do it within. Yeah. And what it meant was they all stayed in another hotel, and me and my boyfriend stayed in this apartment that I found. And they're like, why aren't you staying at our hotel? I was like, excuse me, I'm doing this challenge for YouTube. I've got 54 subscribers. I cannot let them down.
How many subscribers did you gain from that? Did it make...
No, not that many. Like, I think after the first year I had about, I say not many, but I'd got to like 1,000. And they always say that's the hardest, they're the hardest subscribers you're going to get is that first 100, that first 1,000. But the views were really good. For someone, who didn't have much of a following, I certainly had no social media following, but I had actual strangers watching my videos and commenting and joining my Patreon. So, there was definitely an interest, and it was enough of an interest for me to continue it after the year challenge was over.
Yeah. Interesting. So you've been on a lot of flights. You've been all over the world.
Yeah.
What is the worst thing you've seen on a flight? I've seen videos of like people cutting their toenails and like all that sort of stuff. What's the worst thing you've seen?
I think the worst thing, I know, to be fair, I didn't actually see it with my eyes, but I smell it. Oh, no. Someone changed their baby's diaper. That was American. Napping, thank you. Where does that come from? Maybe I was on an American flight. Someone changed the baby's nappy, like in the seats in front. And I know it was going on because I could hear it going on, and then the smell.
Oh no!
When you just like.
Got a confession.
Was that you?
We have done that.
Have you?
So we were on a flight from Dubai to Bali, and our little boy, he was 6-7 months old.
I love that he's done with. Can you imagine if it was you? How that would be good.
I've gone for a number 2 for like probably 24 hours, which is quite a long time for a baby that age. And me and my mister were just looking at each other. He's definitely just going to do it like on this flight, isn't he? And just as we were about to like go onto the runway, we see his face go, and he releases the biggest turd you could ever imagine. Like, I'm talking all over his legs, up his back, and he's screaming his head off. And we say to like the air hostess, "Can we like just change him in the toilet?" No, we're about to take off. And we're like, "Oh, like he's covered in shit. He's kicking off. We're not going to be able to change him for like 15 minutes." So I'll try and find a picture. My wife just gets him, puts him on the floor, and just starts changing him like in the middle of the thing. And Yeah, we did that on the floor of the flight.
So there is a reason you did that, though. You're about to take off. I can understand that, and I would be able to apply that, to the context. The context I had it in. No, we were just.
They just didn't want to walk down
to the bathroom. Yeah. It was absolutely there and open, and I was like, when you just smell. It's never going to smell something first. But yeah, a lot of feet up on like. Oh, this wasn't a flight. This was on a bus, but I was on a bus in India, and I went to put my arm down on the armrest, and there was just someone's entire leg there.
I'll never get that. Yeah. You always see that on flights as well when people are putting their feet up there.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? And why have you got your shoes and socks off?
Yeah.
There's no need. But
nothing, like, I haven't seen a fight, so that's nice. Like, just...
It's coming to summer season, though. There'll be lots of flights on those
been on
fake flights.
A flight with James, then
exactly.
you'll tick all the boxing.
Always scrapping on those flights.
Keep those socks on.
So, slight change for this one, and it's something curious to know if you have any knowledge on it. But big sports fan, Arsenal fan, have followed us around Europe a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Notoriously, flights, the prices get gouged with sports. So, for example, Arsenal are playing one of two Dutch teams in a couple of weeks. All flights to Holland have gone from £25 to £150.
Yeah,
I think that's not bad either.
To be fair, it's good, but that's because we don't actually know who we're playing. So you've still got, if you go to Eindhoven, you've got to pick anyway.
Yeah.
Is there a way around it? Is there things that sports fans can be doing that would help them get over there at a more affordable price?
Do you know what's really funny? You've made something come back into my head, because this was years and years ago. But one of the first things I did on my old website was, I think it must have been a Champions. I'm pretty sure it was like Liverpool, and you had to get to Baku in Azerbaijan.
That was Arsenal Chelsea in the Baku Europa League final.
I love this memory because I couldn't remember. I just knew it was Baku.
I refused to go, but some of my mates paid obscene amounts to fly in and bus and
Well, I think I obviously didn't have any plans that evening, so I just sat down and I came up with a load of different ways that people could do it, and I posted.
You just say you went to us.
No, that's a trip. No. But I posted it, and bear in mind, I didn't have, again, I must have had a couple thousand followers or whatever, but it ended up getting reposted in all the football forums and groups. So the traffic to my website that night was absolutely popping off. And it's funny because I still have some followers today that came from that.
Excellent.
Because they're like, you sorted me out. Thanks so much. I never would have got there. But it's a really interesting area because it really dials into this whole demand, surge pricing that we see. When there's demand for anything, the price goes up. And so when that happens, the best thing to do is think about what you have flexibility over, i.e., can you go for longer than the amount of time that the event is on? Can you get there earlier than most people are expecting to travel? Can you go at different timed flights is worth remembering. Can you do a stop off? Often when you go onto a search engine, it might already just be ticked to say direct flights only. So make sure that's unticked. There's also lots of options that say fly into nearby airports. And that is for these kind of fixtures, that's your key. You're looking at where can you fly into that's nearer, and then make the rest of the journey in another way.
Sounds exactly what I did for the Euros final in the summer.
Your pilgrimage for the Euro.
Come on, tell me what.
It wasn't even that bad actually. It was we flew from London to Brussels.
Yeah.
Then Brussels to Munich.
Mm-hmm.
And then Munich, we got a taxi to the train station.
Yeah.
And it was a 6-hour train from Munich to Berlin.
Amazing.
But I can imagine you hearing taxi as part of that must be,
Was there a group of you?
Yeah, it's 3 of us.
That's all right. It helps.
How much did the taxi cost?
I think about €100.
You could go on 3 holidays for that.
I mean, basically, that is normally the way you have to do it. And why does that work? Well, one, it's a faff. And as I said before, people pay for convenience.
Yep.
And so you will win on the fact that you're willing to make the effort.
Ours was more, it's just that's the only option we had.
Well, it's all late. There were so few.
Yeah, so few,
Yeah. That or hitchhike.
Yeah, there was people doing that.
Yeah.
But,
there's a good website. I haven't used it yet, and I'm really, really keen to use it. Lift Share. And there's a few different ones. I think there's different names to them. There's more than just one company. But essentially, people put on their journeys and say, I've got 3 seats spare in my car. Who wants to come in? You paid this much. So, yeah, that's a good one to double check. I think blah, blah, blah.
Being on those websites.
Well, technically, that's the reason I haven't done it yet.
You're worried they won't let you on?
No, it's more like as a woman traveling on your own, I'm like, do I want to go to France with this random man?
Just reminds me, sounds like the start of like a Netflix show. Like,
there will be a documentary.
There'll be people that say them and then they end up getting chucked in.
But here's the thing, right? Yes, you're right, and we should all be safety aware and conscious, but also travel and you can meet the best people when you're out traveling. And in general, what I have found is most people are good people.
Hitchhiking, I don't think I'd do.
But this at least has a paper trail. You've gone through a website. They've had to submit ID. You know, it's not like Craigslist or Gumtree.
Someone here has done a 42-minute journey from Biggleswade, great name, and to St Albans for £1.30.
I mean, that's going to be cheaper than the bus, you know?
Yeah.
So you pay the person?
Yeah.
Is it worth? I mean, surely they're taking a cut out of that as well. Is it worth?
That is a very bizarre journey. I haven't seen it. The ones that I normally look at.
It's a 45-minute journey.
Yeah. I normally look at the ones between London and Paris.
Sure. I mean, that would make more sense.
That might be like 40 quid.
Rather than just pop into the Tesco.
Yeah. But bear in mind, these people will have already paid for their Eurotunnel or the ferry.
Good point. Yeah.
So, and perhaps, I was going to say, perhaps someone just wants like a nice companion.
Very true.
A travel buddy.
Is anybody off?
23 journey matches between London and Paris, see? All these people.
All passengers, though. They're all...
Yeah.
Here we go. Happy to be a driver or a passenger.
Yeah.
Any day.
So people list their journeys and then you can join on. So it's a cheaper way of doing things. But I think for football fans would be ideal.
Really good shout, yeah.
You've got way more people with cars.
Should we see who's off to Eindhoven next weekend?
Do you know what? Maybe that will come up. That would be really... It's not too far to drive. That's for sure.
No, it's a... There you go.
Journey matches. Passengers. Oh, no, it's a load of people wanting to be
passengers.
However,
we should just get a people carrier, take all of them with us, we'll be fine.
Come on.
I mean, I don't have a full licence, but...
You don't even have a licence, mate.
Well, no, true, my provision was expired.
Have you passed your provision, like the test? You got to do a test, don't you?
No.
Don't you do the test, like the question test? Is that not a thing?
Theory. The theory, but that's...
Oh, theory, yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
No, you don't have to do that until you're doing your full test.
Do you have a scooter?
Yeah, I don't think I'd get many people on the back of it, but yeah, we could... I just feel like there's an app for anything now, isn't there?
Honestly, there's so many different ways to do things. And it's crazy. There's a really good website called Rome to Rio, if you've ever heard of that before. That's really good if you are having to navigate somewhere when the main way is super expensive. Because what it does is you put in 2 different places that you want to get between, and it gives you all the possible options. So you're looking at London to Milan here, and it's showing you could get 2 trains, or you could get 3 buses, or you could get a ride share, literally what we were just talking about. So it's quite good at piecing together journeys when whatever the way that you thought you were going to go isn't quite working out. So that's a really good website. I use that quite a bit.
Out of all those options, let's say coach, train, plane, boat, maybe others, what's your least favourite?
I mean, I wouldn't probably want to scroll back up. I'm interested. How long is the bus? I do like a bus and I love a coach, but it's 20 hours and 24 minutes to get 3 buses, which feels quite long. But interestingly, because obviously the quickest one is the flight, which is just a couple of hours, and then you've got 2 trains taking around 10 hours. I am the kind of person who would think about doing the trains.
Well, trains could be fun because you can have a few drinks and you look at the scenery as you're going along.
I just think there's something quite whimsical about a long train journey.
I say that, and I've not travelled by train out of the country, so...
I just did London.
You're not on a train anywhere else?
Sorry,
long
directly out of the country. Like, I have been on trains in other countries, but not. Yeah, the journey hasn't been.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I just did London to Barcelona on the train.
How long did that take?
It's not too bad. So you get the Eurostar to Paris, which is a couple of hours. And then the train from Paris goes direct to Barcelona in 6.5 hours.
What's the worst thing that's happened on one of these journeys? Like, has there ever been one where you've gone, I really shouldn't have done that? That was...
Yeah. So, I decided I like to do these budget challenges, and I decided I wanted to get to and from the Paralympics and go and see it for 100 quid.
Where was it?
It was in Paris. So it needed me to get an overnight coach, which in theory, I was like, I don't need to pay for accommodation because I've got 2 coaches booked back to back. That's how I'm going to be able to do this whole thing. And that was food, drink, everything for £100. I was like, I've nailed this. What I had not thought about was the fact that the overnight coaches go on the ferry and you have to get off the coach. So any plan to sleep quickly went out of the window. And I arrived in Paris at like 7 o'clock in the morning, went over to, and when you're so tired, you're like jet lag tired. You can't function. Like my head felt like it was going to like burst into flames. I was I was regretting my decision so much. I went to go see the Paralympics, and I don't know about you, like when I watch the Olympics, when I watch the Paralympics, I cry at everything anyway. So I'm so proud of everyone because I'm like, oh, you represent your country, it's amazing. I literally spent my day crying at sporting events.
And then you cried, get back on the bus.
I had the coat, I was on the metro, and I texted my boyfriend, and I said, I can't believe I've done this to myself. You're like, no one has asked me to do this.
No.
And I also don't need to do this. Like, it's literally only me who knows I'm doing this at this point. And he was saying, do a Top Gear. And what he means by that is fake it. He's like, do a Top Gear, get the Eurostar home. I said, I am not doing that. I've set a challenge. I refuse.
We would say that.
I am getting this coach home. Yeah. So anyway, he's like, you're an idiot. Just get you are a mess. Get the Eurostar home. I was like, absolutely not. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Anyway, he's in the pub with his friends. And I forget that the business account is attached to his phone as well. And he gets a little notification, £200 Eurostar. And he texts me straight away, being like, I did not fake it. I still did the videos, and then I did a video about how I completely failed my challenge. Yeah.
Honesty.
And do you know what? The feedback was so lovely. And it was really funny because everyone was like, do you know what? You have proven that it's just not worth doing back-to-back coaching. I was like, it absolutely is not.
Yeah, and that's a limit, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the thing, right, with cheap. There's always a limit, and it's knowing where that limit is so that you don't end up ruining your trip at the same time. Yeah.
So I asked you about the worst thing you've seen on a flight.
Yeah.
Who's the most famous person you've seen on a flight or been on a flight with?
Oh my goodness. I'm not sure I've seen anyone famous on a flight. I'm just trying to think.
I feel like you've got a story.
Train? Oh yeah, who have you seen on a flight?
I feel there is someone, but I can't think.
I'm trying to really, really like go through my file of facts in my brain of the famous.
Rafa Benitez is on our flight. So how dog is on our flight.
I'm the kind of person who I will walk or talk to a famous person and have not realised. Mm-hmm. And then someone after will be like, you do realise who that was? I'm like, yeah, that lovely man. Like, that was Jude Law. I don't, no one springs to mind. But I probably have. I've just forgotten. I don't know what you guys are like, but my memory is just becoming like an absolute. It's terrible.
And I'm terrible with names as well. So like band names, so terrible. So yeah, it's a sorry state for me. But so you can't remember any on a flight. How about watching or consuming your content? Who's the most famous person that's engaged?
Oh, so the people that I get really chuffed over are always like TV legends. You know, people that used to watch on the TV like growing up. So Nikki Chapman. Oh, how old are you guys?
36.
Okay, so awesome.
Yeah, I'm 28, but this is James's, we say this every week now, it's James's favourite part of the pod, because everybody goes, you're 36.
Nick, is she a radio presenter?
So she was one of the judges of, was it like was it Pop Star, like Pops, or was it
Pop Idol.
Pop Idol?
Yeah.
And Pop Stars.
Yeah, so she sent me a message before, and I was like, oh my God. Oh, and the one that I really was chuffed about, because I'm a big fan, but Danny from McFly.
Nice.
Because he's such a nice man. And I saw him after one of their gigs. I went up to it, and I do not know him at all, and we haven't like interacted on any point. But I went up to say, loved the show, and I was like, also, I'm confused. You followed me on Instagram, and you looked at me, and you was like, cheap holidays. I was like, Danny, I feel like you don't need a cheap holiday. But he was like, no, taking the kids out of, trying to find a cheap holiday for the kids in that time is really difficult. Yeah. So look.
Love that. But so what advice did you give him? Where did you send him?
I said, no, to be honest, I said, Danny, I think you're all right. But yeah, so that's always really, really nice. And Alison Hammond. There we go.
Sick. Yeah. Nice. Love that.
What a great follow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's a good one. So you've obviously done a lot of TV. You were doing some TV this morning before coming over. You've done this morning. That wasn't an intentional pun either. Have you had any disasters on TV?
Oh, well, I can literally tell you about what I ended up doing this week. So I was on this morning and coming live from the caravan camper van and motorhome show at the Birmingham NEC.
Right.
And basically, when you're doing a live OB...
What's OB for those that are...
outside broadcast. Anything can go. Anything can change at the drop of the hat. You literally just have to react to everything around you. And so what happens is you have your in-ear. So you've got your earpiece in, you can hear the gallery and the studio back in London. You can also hear the presenters. So you've almost got like two different feeds coming into your ears. So you're having to manage that whilst also being queued up to go live on the TV. And we've been told, right, it's about a 3-minute hit, off you go. And we've kind of planned what we were going to do. We were running around the caravan show, showing off different things. At one point, us swapping onto a selfie camera and then coming back to the camera as this is all going. So we've laid it all out. We started going, and we're coming towards. I was probably been chatting for a couple of minutes. And I'm thinking, right, I need to wrap this up soon because we'll be done. And that's when they go, 3 minutes to go. And I think, but I've done 2 minutes. And I've only got 1 minute planned in my head. And you just have to go, okay, we're going to do something. And it's just literally having to react to stuff. Also, not sure any panic on your face. It's all good. It's all fine. Mm-hmm. And it is purely the adrenaline that gets you through those moments. I'll be honest. I think I kind of blacked out. Like, I watched back that and I was like, I don't remember doing that. I'm sitting on a toilet. I did a massive body slam into an inflatable bed. And
but that's just morning TV, though.
It is. And do you know what? And that is actually why I really, really enjoy it, because anything goes and you have to make it work. So stuff like that, yeah. I mean, I feel like I've given you such a bloody media spin answer because it wasn't that bad, was it? But it's that kind of panic that you go, oh my goodness. And people are watching.
But
right?
Nobody knows. It's all in there. It's never really at the scene. So no absolute horror shows then?
Not yet, but it will happen. For sure will happen. We almost had a horror show before we started filming because I'd been putting my mics in and put my in-ears inside my ear and it was a bit loose, so I'd pushed it in a little bit further. The wire came out and it was still in my ear. We had to get the medical team to tweezer it out of my ear. And the camera guy was like, in my 24 years of working, that has never happened to anyone. But they were like, when everyone's laughing at first, it's not in your ear. And then they all looked and they were like, get the medical team. I was like, don't panic.
It's like I'm a celeb getting the cockroaches out.
It's fine. Yeah.
Nice. So we're going to change pace a little bit here.
Okay.
We are going to rapid fire list off some categories of trips and things we want to do. And we want you to, as quick as possible, tell us the best destination for this.
Oh my God.
And let's just go with destination. I was going to say maybe
destination.
Yeah, let's
I like the
start with destination. Do you want to take it in turns with these?
Go for it.
So first up, stag do.
Poland.
Whereabouts?
Ooh, I'm going to go for Krakow.
You happy with that, Bart?
It's a bog standard answer for anyone that goes to Poland, really. I'm Polish. No.
It is, but it does the job, right?
Oh, yeah.
Lots of the good thing, lots of flights from all over the UK.
Yeah.
Okay, if you were going to go for a more rogue, what's a lesser known one for Poland?
Wrocław.
I love it.
100%. Or Poznan.
Yeah.
I just came back from Gdansk over the weekend. Fantastic.
Do you know what? This is the thing. You can't go wrong with a Polish city.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like there's loads of flights in and out of Krakow, so that's why it's a good one. But I think Poland is so good for the fact that a lot of countries only have like 1 or 2 cities that you might go to. Poland's got like 5 or 6. So literally just choose one. You'll have a great time. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Couples weekend.
Couples weekend. Oh, where do I think? Do you want cheap?
You decide.
So, yeah, some of these we're going to tell you if they need to be super cheap. But
Okay, couples weekend. Let's go for Croatia.
Nice.
And go for a place called Ravine. So it's in the Istrian area. So if you go up a little bit, it's more northern Croatia.
I've been to Croatia.
So there we go. If you see that, you see Pula at the bottom there. So to the left, you've got Pula, and you go up the coast. You see this, it's got Ravine. Click on that, because I bet you the first look at
Beautiful.
it is so stunning. If you type it in Rovinj, Revenge, but it's Ravine.
It's a bit like your house.
It's stunning. It's gorgeous. And again, it does get popular in the peak summer months. If you go shoulder season off peak, because you can't fly directly into it, it is less known about because it's not as easy to get to, which in my book is a good thing.
Stunning. Bougie on a budget.
Ooh, Budapest. Yeah, Budapest is great for that. We stayed at an absolutely amazing hotel called Cosmo. And I think you can get, and I even looked at this year, the prices haven't even gone up that much over the last few years. And I've seen that with a lot of these luxury hotels, that they've really increased their prices. So you can still easily stay for £150 a night or under. And the amazing thing about this hotel is that their standard room is huge. Because we've all had it before, haven't we? You've booked a hotel, it looks amazing, but you've booked the cheapest room. And you turn up and you are in the cupboard that they have not put on the website. But this hotel, like I even went out to them and I said, have you upgraded us? And they're like, that's the cheap room. And it had its own walk-in wardrobe. It had an entire freestanding bath in its own bathroom. It had a toilet with a door, because I know people are very passionate about toilets having actual doors. Absolutely stunning. And the fact that you can go and stay in a 5-star luxury hotel. There we go. Here's a standard room for under 150 quid in an amazing city, I think is an absolute win. Yeah. Gorgeous.
Next one. Luxury. Not on a budget.
Oh, you're talking to the wrong person. Luxury, not on a budget. Where's somewhere that I would love to go to, but it's going to cost me a fortune? Probably anywhere that White Lotus is filmed at. You watch like White Lotus?
I watched the first season. I think we started watching the second, and then we got a bit bored of it.
So I had a look at the second season. They film in Sicily, and plenty of affordable places to stay in Sicily. But that hotel now is like £1,300 a night, which is outrageous. Interestingly, I think some places do luxury incredibly well, and it actually blows my mind. I went to India last year, but the luxury offering is outstanding and the service is incredible. But like some of the hotels that I was looking at, not for me, I was just curious. You're talking like £1,200 a night. You know, and you just think, I know, like for the fact that you built on, or like, but where have you've plucked that number out of nowhere? Because you can stay down the road somewhere for like £20. Like you are just creating something. And you are making it seem desirable based on the price. Because I don't understand how you got to that money. How that must be so much profit. Do you know what I mean? Where you go, that's crazy.
But there must be some people paying it, right? If they're pricing it at that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But it's when the cost of something is you're paying for status. You're not actually paying for the product. And that's what I feel like you can see sometimes in these, and I hate to say cheaper destinations, because for the locals, it's certainly not cheap, but more affordable for a UK market. I just find it mind-blowing when you come across a hotel and you just think, how much are you paying your staff? You know, like,
Not enough.
it's fine if you are paying them the increased rate, then that's okay, but are you?
Probably not.
That's what I want to know. I want to know.
Getting your tan on in February
Ooh.
on a budget.
Ooh, on a budget. I'm going to... where do we think? On a budget is always the hard bit.
On an okay budget.
Oh, Marrakesh. So Marrakesh.
She got you that. So why is that made like a difference? It's an okay one.
Because the go-to answer for most people is they'll say the Canary Islands.
Right.
And you can do them on a budget, but you just have to make sure you are getting... It's one of those places where you almost do want to look at the combo of cheap flights first, because it can get really expensive, especially if you're traveling at any time when the kids are out of school. It becomes so expensive for the Canary Islands. So if you can go totally off peak, then that is a good shout. However, a cheaper and more affordable one would be Marrakesh. Which, if you think about where we're looking at on the map, it's basically that top part of Africa. That's where all of these are settled. So that kind of area is quite good. My sister's just come back from an all-inclusive in Marrakesh. And I will often find them in the winter, all-inclusives for like £400 or under for an entire week. And yeah, the weather tends to be, I think she had like early 20s. So we're not talking scorching.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go a bit further afield, but for a really good compromise on price and sunshine, that's a good shout.
Hot is too hot.
For me, like 22. I don't like it too hot. That's maybe why I like my cheap holidays, because I have to always go off peak.
Stay in that little European
The
bubble.
worst one I've had is Dubai in August.
No, thank
like
you.
40s, something ridiculous.
No, thanks.
I had same Riyadh it was a work trip, and it's just wild. Like the second you walk out, every part of you's melting. But now they've got fans blowing water just as you walk down the street.
Yeah, I was going to say they can deal with it a lot better is the one thing. And it always surprises you when you're in these extreme heats, right? That you can deal with it. It's not comfy. But you, like I've been in -20 and on paper you go, that's horrific. And when you're there, you're like, okay, you have to prepare for it.
There's no British winter. Like the colds are cold and the hots are hot here.
Yeah.
We're not built for any of it.
What's your ideal temperature?
Depends. If I'm on holiday, it's a different. If there's a pool nearby, like give me 28, 30. Like I'm getting a tan, I'm having a beer. Like, good. In England,
just imagining you there.
I know. I'm a little bit sad, to be honest. But I feel like I'm always just in the UK. I'm just always too hot. I just run hot. So
You run like that. Run.
yeah. I feel like that's like a
warm-blooded.
Yeah. An older thing. Yeah.
What about breakup getaway destination?
Oh, for like
People that, not me. This is on Curtis' list. This is on Curtis's list, so I've been lumbered with this one.
So for single people who are perhaps looking for other single people, is that right?
I didn't write this part of the list either. So, but that
wasn't me. That was you. Where's this system for?
Thing going on right now.
Well,
look, it's not for any of you. We're helping other people here.
Breakup getaway. That's not.
Are you going there to break up with someone, or are you going there single?
We've broken up on a Monday.
Yeah.
Took for a drink on Tuesday.
Okay, you're minging, mate. You've been kicked out of the house. Your bags are packed. You're in like a little hotel, and you go to your mate. I just want to go away for the weekend.
I was going to say, this is giving like Thailand, but not for the weekend. Or a little Greek island. It feels like you need to like go out now a little bit. Maybe
I feel like you are directing this at me, like I'm still doing in my relationship.
Or maybe like, right. What are your thoughts on the more traditional UK Brits abroad holidays? Are you a fan or are you not?
If it's like
Where are we going?
Well, like down the Algarve Strip, perhaps, so Albufeira, or maybe you're off to the southern coast in Spain.
You have been talking about Ibiza today.
Oh, okay.
Boys.
Okay.
Be my last pilgrimage, I think, that one.
So the thing with Ibiza is it's just so expensive, right? To go out. Like, it doesn't have to be, but if you are there to go out, then it really does start to...
I said in the chat, I can't wait to be spending 80 euros for 3 waters.
Exactly. So yeah, Ibiza, I mean, that would be a great shout. But basically, do you know where I would head instead? Like Berlin.
Oh, Berlin, yeah.
Do you know what I think? Because you've got great food, you've got great nightlife. Honestly, I think Germany doesn't get enough love when it comes to destinations to go to. But Germany is normally quite affordable.
Yeah.
You do not have to spend a fortune to get there or to stay there. One of my favourite things to do is go on a city break, but in the summer holidays, because people tend to not do them in like August. People tend to do them in the spring or in the autumn, in those kind of shoulder seasons. But you can actually get a bargain to city breaks because most people are flocking to the coast, or they want a bit of, they want some beach, or they want it to be a little bit warmer. It's a really good time to go to those big... It gets hot, and also you've got all the lakes around Berlin as well if you wanted to do that stuff. But you think about London or Manchester or any big town or city in the UK, there's stuff on in the summer. Yep. And that's true of all the cities abroad as well. Like, you've got festivals on, you've got free events. Like, it's a really, really good time to do a city break. And yeah, I just think Berlin is always a good idea. I really love it.
Love it. Well, that's us sorted in pretty much any life situation now. So
excellent.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Are there any destinations that were cheap and an absolute hidden gem that have been completely ruined now?
Oh, it's really interesting because I would say even Poland has got much more expensive over the last 4 or 5 years. I don't think it's ruined. It's certainly more affordable than going to a city in the UK. But it is, a lot of Europe has seen this impact of, this post-pandemic kind of price crunch with things getting more expensive. And so when we say these, it doesn't really exist anymore where there's these super cheap destinations where you're getting your beers for 50p, say. Like, I remember when I was probably a teenager, and my mum ended up going to Lithuania she was a youth worker, so it was like some youth working program. And she was saying that literally, like, they were getting beers for 20 pence. And it was, I've been to Lithuania, it's so much more expensive than that. And it's more expensive than what most people would probably even think it is. So I think that's kind of gone away in general, is that super cheap getaway. And it's the same as, it's all about how you do your trip rather than how expensive a certain place is. You could come to London and have an affordable weekend. You could just spend your entire weekend in Spoons.
Sounds like a good weekend to me.
So I just think things have changed a little bit in that it's less an entire destination coming across as cheap, and people are having to change how they do their holiday to make it the cheap trip that they are searching for. If you zoom out on this map, I'm interested to see if anything like pops out. I'm thinking what's become super, super popular. The Greek islands are super popular, but they've always been super popular, right? Like Lisbon's become really popular, but I still think the hotels are quite pricey. But it certainly was never a hidden gem.
No.
The one that springs to mind is that viral spa in Bucharest.
I've just been there 2 weeks ago, and it's overrated. Completely overrated.
So I went also a few weeks ago. Maybe we were there at the same time.
Possibly.
Can I ask you what day you were there?
Went on a Sunday.
Right. Okay. I think I found your problem. You went the weekend.
Yeah.
Was it really busy?
Incredibly busy.
Yeah. And I think I wonder for them how much they care about repeat visitors, because it feels like they could limit the amount of people in there, right? And that sounds like it would probably
make it better.
But overall, if they know that few people are return repeat visitors, does it matter to them versus getting people through the door? Because I actually went on a Tuesday and Wednesday, and we went to the spa on a Wednesday, and they tell you to go early, but because of that, I think in the morning it can get really busy because people have been told that. But because there is a pass where you pay for 3 or 4 hours, you may actually be better going 3 or 4 hours into the day, because then you've got the first wave of people who have left. You're kind of there at lunchtime and then you leave before the afternoon peak. Anyway, when I went, it wasn't too busy, but I have seen the videos and I know that it gets super, super busy.
Yeah.
I was actually really impressed with the technology in it, in terms of, because it's so cheap, it's like £14 for 3 hours. I did think, I don't know how impressed with this I'm going to be, but actually, as it's pretty modern and put together, and overall I was impressed, but I completely understand that if there was a lot of people in there, I wouldn't have liked it so much.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm having to worry about like entry times and things like that, I'm not that person. Like, I've not got it in me to be thinking about what I'm doing on holiday, but I get it. Yeah, makes sense.
But also £14, it is a bargain.
I paid like 30 because I did the whole day one.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Just do the £14 for 3 hours.
Well, I don't think I'll be back to Bucharest anytime soon.
There you go. No repeat business.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Brits abroad previously.
Yes.
When we get a bad reputation
Yes.
as tourists. Is there any other nations that you feel have worse tourists?
Oh, well, we're always there with the Germans. The Brits and the Germans are basically the same kind of tourists, I think, if you speak to the Spanish anyway.
The Germans just get up a bit earlier with their towels, don't they?
I think, honestly, we have a lot of similarities when it comes to the German tourists, like in terms of how we holiday, where we holiday. They really love their Spain so much. So the Brits are quite similar to them. But yeah, it's such a shame because it's often a few bad ones ruin it for everyone. But do you know what? I think we're seeing quite a bit of this, especially with the Spanish islands at the moment, who are not happy to see the tourists there, that are actually, we've seen it on the news where they're doing protests about it. And few tourists have had experiences where they haven't had the best experience when they're on holiday because of that. But I get it from the locals. Like, they're being priced out, and yet this new luxury hotel's just gone up somewhere where they in the past may have been able to buy something that they and their family could live in. I think it's a really difficult one because ultimately the reason the locals are targeting the tourists is because that's where the most attention is going to come to their cause. Also, the local government and the wider government, they know that tourism brings in so much money. So they are threatening the thing that is going to cause them to do something about it, right?
Yeah.
And then off the back of that question,
yeah,
who's got the rudest residents or locals?
The rudest, this feels easy because it's Paris, right? But, and I feel like they'd accept this also.
I think they'd love it.
Yeah.
They want to be.
I also love it. Right. This is the thing with Paris. You have to know what you're going to get, right? And then you go there and it just kind of, you feel like you're in like a film or a movie or something. When someone's rude to you, you're like, it's the true experience. But actually, do you know what? It's funny because, again, I've been to Paris a few times recently, and then I always try my best to speak some French. Like, I got a B GCSE. I was fine.
Your foot avec mon ami.
Oh, hello. You're much better than me.
I've got quelle est l'état de ton anniversaire?
I wouldn't know it.
But
your accent's great.
Thanks. That's all I've got though. When's your birthday, basically? But it's of no use.
A strange phrase to have in the back of your back.
How good did it sound though? But that's it's all about the optics.
Yeah.
Just fake it till you make it.
I always like to say, I'm going to ruin it out. Is it comment ça s'écrit? Which is, how do you spell that?
Excellent.
Because that was always in the textbooks.
It doesn't matter what it means.
What's your French phrase?
Bonjour.
No.
That's about it.
Ça va?
Yes. Do you know, most useful out of all of them?
Exactly. Hello. When are you going to pull out? When's your birthday? In France?
Cake bakery? No.
Making friends.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Making friends.
First thing I do when I meet friends is ask them.
When's your birthday? I'm big into Star Sons.
Just on that point about friends, like on holidays.
This is going to be a tenuous link.
No, it's not. I'm just thinking, like, One of like me and my wife always say the worst things to do on holiday is like speak to other people and make friends with other people. When you're like in the hotel and there's that, you can tell there's that couple itching to like talk to people,
Yeah.
friends. But do you like making friends on holiday, or is it just like?
So if I'm on my own, I love making a friend. If I'm with my other half, we tend to keep to ourselves. He like keeps me from chatting. As long as I've got someone to chat to, basically, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I'm traveling on my own, which I do a fair bit, I quite like a little chit chat.
I guess when there's like 20 hours on a coach, you need something to.
You see those people at like breakfast, they're like getting ready to like come and talk to you.
Yeah. Leave me alone.
Don't talk to you.
Waiting at the cold meats.
We should all have like a little card, like green or red, based on whether you want someone to come and chat to you or not. Yeah. Well, what happened to me on a recent trip? I was getting an overnight train up to the Arctic, the Swedish Arctic, Abisko. And you're in a couchette, so you're sharing it with 5 other women. And at first, everyone's a little bit like, oh, sorry, can I get in there? Oh, whatever. And by the end of the 20-hour trip, you're all like, oh, we're staying in the hostel. Like, everyone's friends. But what was so nice about it was I spent this weekend with this group of like women that I'd met on the train. But at no point did any of us exchange like social media handles or anything like that.
Birthdays.
I actually loved it because there was this kind of understanding that we were never going to see each other again, but that was okay.
Yeah.
And I quite liked that because there was nothing like, oh, I've met my best friend for like, there was no expectations. It was just, we're here for a couple of days. Let's have our companions and then we're going to go and never see each other again. Yeah, it was really nice.
Excellent. Nice. I think we've probably asked you enough about holidays now.
Hang on, I've got one question.
Oh,
this is a good one, actually. 600 quid.
Yeah.
You got a holiday destination for the weekend. You're allowed to bring 2 famous guests.
Oh my God.
They've got to be alive, though.
Okay.
Where are you going and who are you bringing?
Oh my God.
Why have they got to be alive?
Because this is my question.
Okay.
It's my question. I want like modern day people.
Sure.
That perhaps we can tag
on TikTok. Fair enough. We've had Eve from the Bible on one of these questions before, and we definitely can't tag
Good fun.
You can't be tagging her.
Thanks, you got TikTok.
I would like to. It's the first person I would take is Justin Hawkins from The Darkness, because then you've got the person who's able to, bring their guitar, sing some tunes. You kind of need that little bit of entertainment. He also just seems so sound. I don't know if you watch him at all on TikTok. He just talks he talks about music, like songs, and he breaks it down about, this little device that they're doing there. He just seems like the nicest man ever.
I don't think I've seen him pop up on TikTok.
I haven't seen him since he was in The Darkness, doing his really hard voice.
He just seems like a really nice man. Yeah.
Justin, okay, he's coming along.
So he's coming along. He can bring the guitar and the music. Who else? I'm really bad at thinking of people off the top of my head.
What about Martin Lewis? Surely he's got to be on the trip.
That's hilarious. Yeah, maybe I should do like a little trip with Martin Lewis.
Have you met him?
No, I have never met him.
That'll be such a meeting of the Titans.
I think I've got a long way to go. He's such a...
I feel like he's such an extreme that he would say just like, don't go on holiday, save your money. That would be his...
oh, maybe. Oh, no. Okay, we can't invite him. Sorry, Martin.
Well, it's paid for by you. That I think he'd get behind that. Anything he can do to save the money. Funnily enough, I was actually going to come on to Martin Lewis shortly. So you've built an empire, really, in what you're doing with your website or your social content.
Beginning, the foundations.
Yes. And it's amazing. You've got a really cool team, really, really impressive. But it is just travel and it is just kind of holidays and focus on packing and things like that. Is that the long-term plan to stay in holidays? Is that where like the real passion lies? Or are you going to be the next Martin Lewis?
Well, I'm definitely not going to be the next Martin Lewis. Martin does it far too well. And also the breadth of what he covers is unreal. No, I'm very much happy in my lane of holidays. That's where my passion lies. And there's so much to be said about it. And I think that's what's really, really nice, is being able to really tackle lots of different areas. That's the thing with holidays, right? You've got
the whole world.
Flying, you've got taking trains, buses, cruises. You've got all the destinations. you've got how to get the price down, you've got travel hacks, you've got packing, you've got luggage, you've got gadgets. Like, it actually blows my mind all the different areas you can tap into in what is just this one area. I always say, because people say, what's your niche? And I say, oh, I do cheap travel stuff. And I say, it's the best niche ever, because actually, who doesn't love a cheap holiday?
And you get to do it, whereas Martin Lewis has got to talk about energy prices.
I think he loves that, though.
He does.
I think he genuinely loves that. So as long as you're working on whatever you're absolutely passionate about, I think that's the key thing, right? And it took me a long time to realize that thing for me was holidays. So yeah, I'm going to be banging on about it for a good while longer, I think.
Love that. And then in terms of kind of the business and the empire, have you had any failures within the business, like things that went horribly wrong and you feel like you've learnt from?
Oh, I feel like I fail every single day, like constantly. And I think it's all lots of little failures, which essentially come down to trying to do too much, and spreading yourself too thin. And like I look at what we are across at the moment. So there's social media, there's the website, we've got a newsletter, there's a podcast. And then I also do my bits for like TV media and writing and stuff like that. And trying to put that into a schedule is just impossible. And it can, because of that, and I am someone I center so much of my worth around productivity to a point where it's bad. It can get I can really stress myself out, basically, because I'm not ticking off enough things. So I would say one of the failures so far is that I have not sussed that out, and I have not worked out the correct workflow yet. And that is a work in progress. And yeah, it's the ups and downs of owning a business, trying to create something where there's no blueprint and you are just essentially making it up. Means that you've got to try stuff. Some stuff will fail, and that's just the process, right?
Every day's a school day.
100%. Yeah.
With your social media, especially, when did you first start to see that this is really taken off and people are starting to follow and engage with my content?
It's really funny because actually the only time I've ever thought like that was probably when I hit 10,000, because that was like the most pivotal moment. That was when I got a swipe up. That was when it meant something to get 10,000. There was a real status assigned with it. And I feel like we're in this weird flux at the moment with social media where it can be quite easy to grow quickly if you were to create content in a certain way. And also, so many people are on social media and creating content that it's kind of been diluted as to what is an impressive amount of followers. Yeah.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, and I'm sure you've seen this, as well. Like, when followers are going up and you're seeing that change daily, it's hard to step away and look at the bigger picture. So even though the numbers have gone up dramatically since that 10,000, it almost means less now. And I know that sounds absolutely crazy, but it's not a metric that I am tracking every single day.
Yeah. We often say like TikTok has skewed the perception of numbers because it is easier than it was to go and get these obscene, huge numbers. But yeah. On the content side of things, we always, this is our favourite question. We ask talent, would you call yourself an influencer?
Yeah, no.
No. What would you call yourself?
I know what you're going to say.
Well, I've used content creator already, so that's... But I've rarely even referred to myself as a content creator.
Yours is, it's quite unique, isn't it?
But I get it. If people call me an influencer, it's fine. I'm not like, excuse me, can you not? The only time is when, do you know what? I get called all the time, and it always makes me laugh because I'm like, you've read that somewhere, because I certainly have never. Chelsea is a travel blogger, and I'm like, I have never had a travel blog, and like, it's actually like, I would love to have a really good travel blog. I have lots of friends who are travel bloggers, and I wish I had the time, and because like that would be a really great part of my business if I had a great travel blog. Yeah. We have a website which has, this is the thing. Some people will be like, you do have a travel blog because you have a website, but our articles, our posts are more like, they're not me telling you about my trip. There's less personality actually versus a travel blog. And I would love to inject some of that into what I do. But it always makes me laugh when they're like, travel blogger. And I'm like, I've never said that. I don't know. Like, you've just magicked that. You've just seen travel and think she blogs, when actually most of my stuff is visual or is a video. So yeah, if someone calls me an influencer, I get it. But it's really funny we've been talking about Martin Lewis, because under the same kind of credentials, surely Martin Lewis is the ultimate influencer.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that even yourself, every piece of content you do is influencing someone's decision. So yes, it's not necessarily always for a direct payment from a brand, but you are there to influence people's decisions.
So ultimately, I can't get mad at it. No. But I guess, and I'm sure lots of people have spoken about that, the negative connotations that come with the word influencer, and the people thinking you don't work very hard and you just get stuff for free.
And you just go on cheap holidays.
Yeah.
And...
do you know what is so funny? I normally get asked about, and this was more when I was starting out, I would go on radio shows and things like that, and they'd be like, so you just get a load of free holidays then? And it would always be the show that was not paying me for my time that would ask that. And I always found it really interesting that was their go-to. Yeah. But from the get-go, I rarely say yes to anything free, because one, it means I can't say what I actually think about it. And two, if I can't afford it, then should I be going on it? In all honesty, like, it doesn't feel like it's a fit
for your ethos. Yeah.
If I'm going, it's too expensive, I best get that as a freebie. It doesn't really work.
Yeah. So no, it makes sense. And I think there is that perception, isn't there? That what are you going to say?
Is there a figure that's too expensive? Like when somebody offers you something, oh no, it's a little bit too expensive. I don't want to do that.
No. Honestly, it would take a lot to buy my silence. Basically, is what it comes down to. I am not opposed at all for working with brands, because what I think is great in that situation is I have to clearly mark it as an ad, and it means that the people watching it get it. We're all on the same page. I'm going to talk about the positives. I'm not going to slag it off because I'm being paid, but. There's that transparency there that people can watch it and enjoy it, but they understand that there's a bias involved, right? And I think that's the best way to be. So I will absolutely work with brands and I will get paid to talk about their products, but I will not talk about their products in the way they want me to for free. I will talk about it in my own words for free.
Yeah. Got it. Which brands have you worked with?
Lots of holiday brands. So like Travel Supermarket is one that I work with quite a lot. I love working with those guys because it's really nice when you work with a brand who understands the creativity behind it and isn't like changing the script based on language use. I'm sure you've experienced that when the script comes back and you're like, but it sounds like a robot has written that. And it will sound bizarre, even if I try and work that into my everyday language. So it's really nice when brands understand that. I've worked with lots of like train companies, show off routes and destinations and things like that.
Any disaster campaigns? Don't have to name any names, but
I will not be naming any names. So I will get myself into trouble. But often it will just come back to there being way too many people involved. That often is what it comes down to, when there is perhaps an agency and also a client, and you never get to speak to the client. And what I find works best for me is when somebody as part of either the client team or the agency has followed me and they get it, right? That is when you know that it's going to be really smooth. It's when you've been pitched into someone, they don't know what you're about. First of all, I often don't get booked for the job in that case because a lot of people don't like the word cheap. So a lot of like the companies, especially if like the head of it, they don't get it. They are like, we are not having cheap anywhere near our brand, even if they are a more affordable one. In fact, when I was first starting out, I was emailing. Do you know what? I can't remember who it was, and I have to go through my emails and find it because I want to print out this email. But I was emailing a load of PR agencies to introduce myself. And I wasn't big at all. I perhaps maybe had like 20,000 on Instagram, but I wanted to start working with some people. So I was doing the rounds. Hi, I'm Chelsea. This is what I do. This is what I've done so far. Here's my media pack. And I got a response from one agency that just said, hi, Chelsea. Took a look at your stuff. My clients would run a mile if they saw your name. And it was a really brisk. It was a really brisk and it was rude. And I remember receiving it and going, oh. And actually, I really doubled down on the cheap after that, because I realized why it's so powerful. It's powerful because it's for the customer, it's for the consumer. It's actually not for the client. Yeah. The point is, what I'm doing is hopefully to help people save money, and it's actually not about shifting holidays for someone. It's trying to make sure someone has the best holiday possible for the price. But it's been really interesting. The people who get it and understand that that's the angle we're coming from have really been able to use that to their best benefit in terms of turning that into successful advertisement campaigns. But yeah, that the word cheap, I reckon, has probably held me back in terms of the earning money side of things for those bigger brands, but probably really helped me in other areas.
Absolutely. Nice. I think that's it on my side for questions. Anything else your side to cover?
I think Bart's got his question of the week.
We allow Bart one question.
Right. So it's a little spin on the James question that you had earlier.
I know
which I didn't even answer. I used to think of two celebrities.
I've got a bit of a different spin on this one.
Okay.
So you're stuck in the middle seat on a long haul flight.
Oh, he's changed it from what he...
On the either side of you, you get to pick 2 historical figures that you have to survive this long haul flight with.
Oh my God. Historical figures. Who's known for being funny? Or maybe someone who's a good sleeper. Was Sleeping Beauty a fictional character? That's who we need to get on there. 2 historical. I'd love to sit next to Queen Boadicea.
Right.
Because she was just a badass. So she was the Celtic
Queen, yeah.
Celtic Queen with her daughters.
Does she have
what's that?
TikTok? She has TikTok. We tag her.
She refused to go down, so she drank poison rather than let anyone kill her.
Fair play.
I mean, dramatic. She was giving drama. I feel like that's the kind of energy you want on a flight next
She'll be pulling the oxygen masks down.
Oh my God.
A turbulence.
Can you imagine if anyone even tried? Oh, she would have your back. She would know all your rights when it came to the flights. She'd be a really good one. Okay, so we've got Boadicea.
And is she taking the window seat or the aisle seat?
Oh, I'll take the middle seat for this because I feel like, with these historical figures, it's once in a lifetime opportunity. Mm-hmm. I am willing. But you know what? She's not giving me that middle armrest, is she?
No, you're sat like this the entire...
No, I am. But you know what? I'll do it for her. That's absolutely fine. And then on the other side, I kind of feel like we need someone with some chill energy. Don't you think?
Okay.
Kind of to combat.
I feel like any historical figure, they're not particularly chill.
Notorious B.I.G.
Is he a historical figure?
He is. He's a cult figure.
He's historical.
Sure.
Oh yeah, you're right. It could be someone in modern history.
Yeah, that'd be quite cool. I reckon them two together would be a pretty sick flight.
Oh, do you know who I would love to sit next to on the other side? George Michael. You hear all the stories about him that came out after he died, where people spoke about how kind he was, how much money he donated to charities, and he always did on the DL, wasn't trying to get famous about it and all that kind of stuff. I feel like he's got quite a chill energy.
You just want people to perform though in all of these situations. You just want a free gig.
Yeah, exactly. So I have George Michael and Queen Boadicea. That's quite
rogue.
Quite a rogue combo.
Yeah. Who are you picking, Bart?
Don't know. I haven't thought about it.
Good content.
Just ask the question.
And that's why he's over there.
That's why I'm here and you guys are there. That's why I get one question a week, no more.
But that's some good questions.
I like that.
You do well. I like it. You're on your feet as well.
Final question. Who should we get on the podcast next? that perhaps you follow.
Or like a
Alive as well, hopefully.
Alive.
alive.
And taggable.
And they've got TikTok or Instagram that we can tag.
I have been really loving Sam Cornforth's.
Our
That-
guest from
Yeah.
the last episode.
Oh, okay. That's a rubbish answer then. But no, I'm chuffed.
He was in that seat. He was the last person to sit in that seat.
Fellow Welshie as well.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely loving his stuff because I can just imagine he has to storyboard every single part of his videos. I love how they're so produced, but in a really new social media way. It doesn't feel like I'm watching the TV at all.
Do you want to hear something insane?
Yeah.
Edits it entirely on his phone. Yeah.
Right, that's it. I'm checking my laptop.
Well, check the episode out when it
Yeah.
comes out. And
He reveals all his secrets.
Does he? Okay, I'm excited.
yeah, genuinely is a bit of a video nerd. Like doing the content stuff back in the days. To see it on the phone, it's mad. It's all AI. He doesn't have to do anything.
I'm quite happy with that answer because nobody's said somebody that's
That we've got on.
got on the podcast. You're the first.
Yeah.
Moving up in the world.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much for coming on. Been a great episode.
Thank you for having me.
Anything to push or plug?
Oh, yes.
moment?
Since we are talking podcasts, I've got a podcast
course.
called Passports, Please, which is all about, we're answering travel questions, testing out travel hacks and sharing some holiday nightmares as well. But a lot of fun chit-chat.
I enjoyed the postcard element when I was listening, when you were like sending the postcards. It was good fun.
Yeah, we finally got our first postcard, physical postcard
Excellent.
sent in. I was chuffed.
Love it. Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.